Warning. This video may contain spoilers for any of the following games. If you haven't completed any of the games on this list, I advise you to leave the video now. Otherwise, proceed at your own risk.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is one of the biggest games of this decade. It's taken the best parts of every previous game and mashed it all together into a masterpiece of epic proportion. Part of that masterpiece being the huge roster of characters, which is still growing. Now, to keep this list from getting cluttered with the same types of characters, I'm limiting myself to one character per franchise, save for echoes or alternate skins. I also won't be taking the likelihood of the character's inclusion into account. This is purely a list of characters who I think would be super cool to see in Smash, whether it'll actually happen or not. With that said, let's get on with the list. Alright, now, I know what you're thinking. 3 characters in 1 slot? That's cheating, but hear me out. In Grand Theft Auto V, the game focuses on 3 playable protagonists, Franklin, Michael, and Trevor, who you switch between throughout the game to complete missions. Since switching between the 3 characters is GTA V's biggest selling point, I figured it'd be wrong to choose only one of them to represent the game. Luckily for us, echoes were introduced in Smash Ultimate, meaning all 3 characters can be playable without taking up 3 slots. The moveset for this character, which I'll refer to as GTA from here on out, could be interesting, with the standard attacks being melee weapons and the special attacks being ranged weapons. And for the final Smash, all 3 of them could get together and recreate the ending from GTA V, where the 3 protagonists get together to mock the character hit with the attack before pushing them off of a cliff, resulting in an automatic death. Maybe not a perfect idea, but definitely one I'd be interested in seeing brought to life in Smash Ultimate. I bet 90% of you haven't even heard of this character. Lord Fuse is the main villain / final boss of Cartoon Network Universe Fusion Fall. Now, I know your immediate thought, Cartoon Network? That's not a video game company. And you're right. Luckily for my argument, Lord Fuse was made specifically for Fusion Fall, which was originally created as a video game, making Lord Fuse a video game character. Lord Fuse is essentially like Galactus, traveling through the galaxy absorbing planets as he pleases, all up until he happens upon Earth, a planet filled with heroes ready to fight for it. Fuse, like many other video game bosses, has an army of minions known as the Fusion Spawns, a race of creatures able to adapt to their surroundings as well as the ability to shapeshift into evil copies of some of Cartoon Network's most popular characters. Unfortunately, since Fusion Fall is a game made for younger children, Fuse doesn't exactly have a lot of complicated patterns to base moves off of. Or any patterns at all, really. However, the Fusion Spawns could make for a pretty rad Final Smash, with them acting similar to Ditto in a way. But instead of turning into Fuse, they transform into the original 12 fighters and gang up on the player or players caught in the attack. Of course, like the last entry, this is an extremely unlikely character, but one I would love to see nonetheless. Pajama Sam is one of a handful of characters created by Humongous Entertainment, a company known for their point-and-click adventure games as well as the Backyard Sports series. Sam is a kid with a wild imagination that he generally uses to face his fears while dressed as his favorite superhero, Pajama Man, who, despite the pretty silly name, is a pretty sick character in and of himself. As far as his moveset, I'm not really sure. Since Pajama Sam is a point-and-click adventure game, most of what he does is pick up items to use later, but he does have some weapons at his disposal, such as his trusty flashlight and his all-metal Pajama Man lunchbox, which he could use for a perfect final smash, shining the flashlight into his opponent's eyes to blind them, then trapping them in the lunchbox, dealing some massive damage. There's not much I could say about Waluigi that hasn't already been said yet. He is one half of the Wario brothers and he'd complete the quadrio of Italian plumbers. His moveset could be completely based off of the Mario sports games since they're both his origin and majority of appearances, with his final smash being a Mario Tennis power shot. I know this one is short, but I seriously mean it when I say everything that can be said about Waluigi has been, and I couldn't word it any better than anyone else has. If you know me, you know I'm not too fond of Final Fantasy VII, or Final Fantasy at all really. It's just not my style of game. But I'd have to be blind, deaf, and dumb to ignore how popular and well put together of a game it is. And one of the best parts of the game is easily the main antagonist, Sephiroth. As said before, I don't know much, if anything, about Final Fantasy, so I don't know enough about Sephiroth to try to give an idea for a moveset or Final Smash, but I do know enough to know that his addition to the game would bring one of the most kick-ass music tracks Smash has ever had. Bill Rizer and Lance Bean are the protagonists from Contra, a classic run-and-gun shoot-'em-up that ingrained the Konami code into every player's memory banks. Of course, most of their attacks would involve them shooting guns, since that's about the entire game. Possibly with a special meter that represents their weapon power-ups, with the weapon slowly becoming more powerful throughout the match. As for their Final Smash, maybe it could be based off the smart bombs from Alien Wars, done like Snake's Final Smash, where it targets and hits all the enemies on screen. Okay, seriously. If you haven't played Ace Attorney, click off of the video right now and go play it. It's an amazing game and totally worth the time it takes to beat. Phoenix Wright was a rather surprising addition to Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate, but a welcomed one with a rather unique playstyle that would translate pretty well for Ultimate style of gameplay. But that still leaves his Final Smash, which could be Phoenix yelling, "Objection!" as the corner theme begins playing, followed by a flurry of evidence hitting the opponent, and ending with an explosive "Take that!" to send your enemies flying off stage. Also, all of his taunts would include Maya, because she's too great of a character to just not have. Pokemon Sword and Shield are the best Pokemon games to come out within the past decade, and with that, it also has some of the best starter Pokemon to be released within the past few years as well, my favorite of which being Rillaboom. In Ultimate, we have a Fire starter, Incineroar, and a Water starter, Greninja. I think it's time for the Grass-type starter squad to get some love. And no, Ivysaur doesn't count, because he's not his own character. For his moveset, Rillaboom would, of course, use moves from the Pokemon series. And while I'm not creative enough to come up with a full moveset, I do think it'd be entertaining if his side standard attack was Branch Poke, being something akin to Lucas's side standard. And obviously, his Final Smash would be Drum Beating, being something more akin to Donkey Kong's Final Smash from Brawl and Smash 4. Punch-Out is my second favorite video game series of all time, and when Little Mac was announced for Smash 4, I was ecstatic. But of course, every great protagonist needs an equally great antagonist, and who'd be a better contender than the big man himself, King Hippo. His moveset would, of course, be reminiscent of Little Mac's, but with much stronger hits and a slower speed, throwing jabs and haymakers as he does in Punch-Out. For his Final Smash, it'd be based off of his strongest attack in the game, his Bear Hug, where he wraps his arm around the opponent dealing massive damage, but when he gets a hold of you, he pummels you with punches. And like with Little Mac, he could have an alternate costume based off of Title Defense mode, giving him a bigger crown and a manhole cover on his stomach. Team Fortress 2 is not the most popular game in the world. It's not the most well-made game in the world. Hell, it's not even the most fun game in the world. But god damn do I love it. Team Fortress 2 is my absolute #1 favorite video game of all time. So of course, my #1 Smash candidate is a Team Fortress 2 character. My immediate first choice is the Soldier or the Scout, since they're my favorite characters. But for this list, I decided to try to look at this one through a developer's eyes, and in doing so, it's become very obvious to me that if a Team Fortress 2 character were added to Smash Ultimate, it'd be the face of the game, the Heavy. The Heavy, while normally a stoic and calm man, and if you don't believe me, read the comics, is never one to shy away from a fight. I'd like to think that for his standard attacks, he'd equip his killing gloves of boxing and knock everybody's lights out, and his special attacks would be his trusty minigun, Sasha. But, of course, the most exciting part of the moveset is his Final Smash. In my mind, it'd be cool if in his Final Smash, Heavy yells one of his iconic voice lines from Team Fortress 2. For the sake of argument, I'll insert "I'm coming for you!" here. Then after that, he'd yell "До свидания!" sending in the rest of the TF2 mercs, each one attacking the opponent and racking up damage. Then, after all is said and done, the mercs clear out to reveal the Heavy behind them, revving up a finger gun, in reference to his taunt kill, followed by a POW! Normally a taunt kill is a one-shot, but since this is Smash, I'll say it one-shots if you're over 100, and at most does about 80 damage. And that's it. I'm not the most creative person, as proven by my lack of movesets created, so to make up for that, in the description, I'll link to videos talking about movesets for the various characters on this list, provided they have one available, and I'll keep the links updated until they're all filled out. Are there any characters on this list that you would have placed differently or replaced altogether? What are your top Smash candidates? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay righteous!